Hi guys, it's Hennymaker and today we continue to review anime Solo Leveling. Buckle up because we're diving straight into the second episode. If you thought that the first episode was a wild ride, hold on to your heads because this one kicks things up a notch. We return to the dungeon, which our heroes, by a fatal coincidence, entered in the first episode. The statue destroyed half the hole with its deadly laser. The squad has already lost 2 hunters. However, thanks to Jinwoo sensing danger and telling everyone to duck, the other managed to survive. The head of the squad lost his arm, and perhaps if Chuhee hadn't been lying in panic, she wouldn't have been able to heal him. I feel sorry for this guy, he is one of the most adequate here. Together with Jinwoo, they finally understand that the statue is the god mentioned in the commandments of the Karthanon temple. By this point, I probably, like many other viewers, have a huge number of questions. What is the nature of dungeons and why did they suddenly appear in the world? I hope we will be able to answer these questions soon. In the meantime, we'll finally see the opening. I am a big fan of anime openings and many of the songs are on my playlist, so when I saw Hiroyuki Sawano's name in this opening, I knew I wouldn't be disappointed. The opening theme has got this epic, adrenaline-pumping vibe that perfectly sets the tone for the action-packed series. The animation is top-notch. We get quick flashes of the main characters, epic battles and mystery symbols that hint at the deeper mysteries of the show. Plus, this is one shot of Jinwoo looking all badass, with his glowing eyes that will send shivers down your spine. And immediately after the opening, we are distracted from the events of the dungeon and transported to the school where Jinwoo's sister studies. And here is a surprise! The mystery girl, who was at the center of the Hunter's assessment in the first episode, is a classmate of the protagonist's sister. Meanwhile, desperate hunters came up with a way to get out. One of them believed too much in his own strength and decided that he would have time to run to the door before he was incinerated. But in vain, what a pity, he showed promise. But everyone realized that they couldn't just escape. This statue is no ordinary monster, so you need to play by its rules. Despite the hopelessness of the situation, here the main character proves himself to be a good analyst, and finally he realizes that the issue is in the commandments. The first commandment, worship God. This is literally a hint that you need to bow before God, that is a statue. And Jinwoo tests his theory and, oh my god, it works! The statue doesn't attack if the hunter is below a certain high level. Jinwoo was brave enough to take the risk, and this is where Jinwoo's character begins to open up and become really interesting to me. From this moment on, the other hunters understand that it is better to listen to this guy, since he literally saved their lives. Everyone follows Jinwoo's example and bows to the statue. And then probably even those who haven't seen or heard anything about this anime know that the statue should smile. I think some even wanted to watch this anime solely because of this moment. I don't argue, the moment is really cool and a little creepy. So they fulfilled the first commandment. And what? Is this the end? Unfortunately no. Now the statue decides to show off its power a little and rose from its throne. It is impossible to stop such a colossus. It destroys everything in its path. The good news is that hunters can now move freely around the hole in an attempt to escape from the statue. The bad news? How on earth they can stop it? It's time to remember the second commandment, praise God. One of the hunters took this rule literally and began to think folklore odes to the statue. This, of course, made some sense given the experience of the previous rule, but unfortunately this time everything is not so simple, and as a result, -2 hunters. This is truly a dynamic scene. I was tense all the time, hoping that others would be saved. But the danger was not only from the walking statue, but also from the statues along the perimeter of the hole. You approach one and it will destroy you with its weapon. If the statues are born to use weapons in their hands, then what should they do? Here, Jinwoo notices that some of the statues are holding musical instruments. Supposedly, they shouldn't harm the hunters since they don't have weapons. Running up to the statue with a trumpet, it also came to life, but lo and behold, it started playing music. Jinwoo was right again. Others headed toward the statues with musical instruments. The problem is that only one person can stand near one statue, so Jinwoo, like a gentleman, left Chuhee and ran on. I can help noticing how well the music suits Jinwoo's death run of despair and fear. But he needs to find another musical statue, otherwise everything will be in vain. My heart sank when Jinwoo was stepped on. Deathly silence, and the statue began to think. He did it. He managed. The second commandment has been solved. Along with our hunters, I breathed a sign of relief. Joo-hee finally snapped out of her stupor, just in time because Jinwoo lost his leg somewhere during the escape and didn't even notice it. Joo-hee tried to heal him, but healers also have their limits. As a result, out of 17 hunters, only 6 survived. And instead of uniting, the hunters decided to find out who was to blame for being stuck here. But nevertheless, there is one more commandment left, and perhaps, if the hunters figure out the third rule, they will still be able to get out of this danger. Test your face. The last and probably the most difficult test. An altar appears in the middle of the hall and the hunters reason that perhaps they need to make a sacrifice to God. But what sacrifice? A person? The leader goes to the altar, but at first nothing happens except that one red light comes on. Jinwoo realizes that something is wrong. Hunters are currently choosing the wait for help tactic. 7 days have been already passed since the gate to this dungeon opened. If the hunters don't kill the boss in time, he may exit through the gate into the human world. To avoid such a catastrophe, hunter guilds must monitor how raids are carried out and, in case of danger, provide assistance. Once again, we are taken back to Jiwoo's sister. She came to visit her mother in the hospital, and we can see how hard it is for her. How long their mother has been in this condition is unknown, and now it becomes clear why Jinwoo goes to dungeons. A magic crystal helps maintain a stable mother's condition. I dread to think how much it costs. But in the meantime, the main task is to survive. When all the hunters approach the altar, something finally happens. 2 more red and 24 blue lights light up. And now the hunters have hope because the door of the hall opened, illuminating the path to freedom. But the statues, they began to slowly approach the altar. Once again, our main character amazes everyone with his power of observation. He notices that the statues don't move when you look at them. That is, theoretically, if each hunter looked at one statue, then they would be safe. The blue lights go out over time, acting as a kind of a timer. All the hunters have to do is stare at the statues until all the blue lights go out. This is the meaning of the third commandment, to believe that in this way they will be safe and not be tempted by open doors. But the girl is the first who give up. She runs out through the door, after that one red light goes out and the doors close a little. Seeing that she managed to escape, the other 2 hunters follow her example. And I can understand their fear as well as the desire to see their loved ones again. This cannot leave anyone indifferent. So there are 3 of them left: Jinwoo, Joo-hee and the leader of the squad. No one knows if they will be able to get out after the lights go out. Jinwoo is missing one leg and Joo-hee, after using her healer powers, is too weak to walk. The only option is that the leader must live with Joo-hee. Jinwoo, be that as it may, decided to sacrifice himself. A very dramatic moment in my opinion. Moreover, the main character, without a shadow of a doubt, decides to save the others. He is not all flashy heroics and cheesy one-liners. No, he is more of a silent, brooding type who let his actions speak louder than words. And boy, do his actions speak volumes. He is left alone, but he doesn't give up. He continues to fight for life. Damn, I'm actually holding my breath from tensions here. It's obvious he can't win, but I kept my finger crossed that he would last until the end of the timer. By the way, it's interesting that even though the statues here attack Jinwoo, they still don't try to kill him with one blow. Although, given the main character's injuries, it will be easy. This suggests that someone is playing a game with him to see when he will give up. And at the very last moment, when he ends up on the altar as a sacrifice, the statue above him swung for the final blow, and it would seem that everything is over. The last light goes out, and Jinwoo receives a fateful message. The secret quest, Courage of the Weak. You have acquired the qualification to be a player. Will you accept? Your heart will stop in 200ths of a second if you choose not to accept. Will you accept? The answer is obvious: accept or die. He accepts the quest. From this moment, the real story of Jinwoo begins. And so we smoothly move to the end of the second episode. Overall, the pacing of the second episode is spot on. We get glimpses into Jinwoo's past and see how his experiences have shaped him into the person he is today. The animation and soundtracks here are excellent. And of course, an intriguing ending. Who is the sender of the message and what will be the consequences for Jinwoo? We will see in the next episodes. What do you guys think of this dramatic episode? Share in the comments. Thank you for watching. I will be glad to see your likes, subscribe to the channel, and let's continue to follow Jinwoo's story together.